Gentlemen, and the two ladies out there who view my content, welcome to another Dawn of War 2 cast. And today we've got Leonus playing as the Plague Champion, rocking a very suspect, more Slaneshi kind of skin, I would say. And I don't know how to pronounce this fella's name, so I think I'm just going to call you Q. Q. So we've got Q playing as the Aversa Assassin of the Grey Knights. You know what? At the time of recording, I have been smashing the hours in Warhammer 40,000, Chaos Gate, Demon Hunters, playing as the Grey Knights. It's kind of like an XCOM thing, turn-based. I love those turn-based games. They're so nice for me. And you know what? It's been really fun, and the only units you get to use are the Grey Knights, and every so often you get to use an Inquisitor. It's been awesome, and I just wish you had more opponents to fight rather than just Nurgle Demons. Anyway, I'm all about the Ordo Malleus hype right now, so I am keen to see them kill some goddamn Plague Champions. You know what's really funny as well? The face of the Plague Champion unit in Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate looks exactly like the portrait face of the Plague Champion in Dawn of War 2. What's that all about? Think they got a bit of inspiration? I mean, they literally call it the Plague Champion. You fight normal Plague Marines, and you fight Plague Champions. I'm just saying, I think they got a little bit of inspiration from this here game. Anyway, Ordo Malleus versus Plague Champions. Now, I tell you what, in Chaos Gate, Plague Champions can't get Plague Swords. In this game, Plague Swords are very scary for your Grey Knights. That Plague Sword that the Plague Champion can get, not only is it power melee, it's power melee damage over time, so it ignores melee resist. But a bit of an error to start with. Yes, you evade the strike squad, but unfortunately he takes so much damage, did good old Leonus, while running away, that he ended up getting killed in the garrison. Of course, he couldn't get out, because then the strike squad would have finished him off. So, a bit of an awkward position he put himself in. I wonder if the CSM are going to do something similar. They should be alright, they've got more HP. Now, just to preface, guys, this obviously is not a very high-level game, that's why it's getting uploaded on a Saturday as a bonus episode. I think in the future, these sorts of games probably going to be something I upload to the Patreon. You know, only accept them from patrons, and get them uploaded onto the Patreon. That's the idea. I say the Patreon, I don't have a Patreon yet, but that's an idea for the future, thinking of doing like an extra weekly cast or so. These sort of lower level games that people have sent in and put it on a Patreon would be pretty cool. Anyhow, not a lot of troops so far coming out for Q. I think we've been focusing more on the combat. I would say that probably Q should have been getting some troops out way sooner. If you're not going to go for your second IST, drop more generators, and then at least you can get some upgrades on the Aversa Assassin. The upgrades on the Aversa Assassin, honestly, never really bad to have. They're good against everything. You know, that tier 1 armor that makes your Psychon ability only take 50 HP away instead of 100? It gives you extra max HP, and it gives you a bit of HP regen as well. That is just a great upgrade. 3 things that are all handy, no matter who you're fighting. And then the pistol, okay, you know, it can just bleed models. Well, when is that ever a bad thing? It's less good against heavy infantry, but there's still heretics to shoot. I don't know, just saying. Definitely need more gens. You're too slow on the getting things out. So we do see some Purgation. Purgation are an interesting unit. They're generally regarded as being pretty damn underpowered at the moment, but they will do something to the heretics, and the crucial thing here, I suppose, with the Purgation is that they are anti-garrison. Because as it stands, Q only has his IST Sergeant for anti-garrison, and that's not going to be enough to take out Noise Marines and Chaos Space Marines. They've just got too much HP. So Purgation actually catching the Chaos Havocs there and forcing them off quite promptly, and now they're in a beautiful position where they can actually get a gem bash. Now CSM are running over, they will probably try and force them into melee. Purgation can get some good damage into them. You know, I think part of the whole thing about Purgation being a better melee counter, I would love to see them do actual decent melee damage and have full melee resist. And then something stupid like that, CSM just walking up and killing them, won't work. But at the same time, in order to compensate for that, you need to make sure that the Purgation don't suppress, because otherwise they counter both ranged and melee. And I think that would be a really good way to rework the Purgation and make them more suited for their intended role of anti-melee. Anyway, tangents. Q's doing a really good job here of maintaining the map control. I think Leonus lacking his Plague Champion is really, really hurting him. Noise Marines here are going to do a lot of damage to the Strike Squad, but they're not supported, so yeah, the Strike Squad just close in on melee and deal with them. But when the AC ticks come here, these Strike Squad need to go. Oh, you don't want that fight. You don't want that fight anyway, just against the ticks, never mind with the crazy damage of that Sonic Blaster as well. Reverser Assassin he's doing something. He's tying up these Havocs, but he's getting baited into a lot of troops here, and I don't think he's going to really achieve too much. God, the Noise Marines are so loud. IST over here doing quite well, trading nicely against the CSM. I'm assuming the CSM probably went to the garrison, and the IST got a nade on them, because generally that fight wouldn't go very well for the IST, even if the CSM were only half HP.
We have the advantage.
So Q's on his way to tier 2 already. He's actually got 4 gens at this point, which, you know, given he's clearly gone for a very light tier 1, it's not a bad idea, but he could have got those gens a lot sooner though. My only worry here is that there's going to be a big timing push from Leonus against his gen farm, and that's what Leonus should be doing right now. Forget all these wreck points, just move forward, get your Havoc set up like in here or something, and then get a full gen bash with your Noise Marines. I will say Q's been doing a really good job flanking around with his Purgation and getting them on the gens. The speed at which these CSM kill the Purgation is way too slow right now. Yeah, they need to get into melee or they're going to lose their entire farm. But I dare say that the tier 1 is the easy part of this matchup for Odo Malleus. It's tier 2 where things get really tricky, when the CSM can get either of their upgrades really very annoying to deal with, but particularly the Zeech Chaos Space Marines. There's not really too much that can trade very well in range with them. I guess if you get the Acolyte and the Plasma Guns on your IST, they can trade pretty well with the CSM. But the problem there is, you've got potential auto cannons, you've got blast masters which will kill all the IST basically instantly, so it's tricky, And then you've got bloodletters as well, who can really put the hurting on to any sort of heavy infantry, Grey Knight melee troops that you go for. So the Noise Marines are doing what Noise Marines do best, being hella noisy, destroying all of destroying all of Q's gen farm. Getting them a decent amount of XP. Nothing level 2 yet for Leonus, but the Strike Squad and the IST are level 2 for Q. Purgation getting a bit of a flank here, but not really achieving too much, to be honest. Havoc's shutting them down really well, and this is the problem when you don't go for any dedicated anti-SUT. We're not seeing any interceptors, we're not seeing any operatives, but infiltration smoke grenades. And Strike Squad here, yeah, they don't have their upgrades in tier 2, they're Justicar, so they don't have a lot of HP and they can't really beat the AC ticks even without the Noise Marine support. Certainly with the Noise Marine support, the Strike Squad are getting wrecked. Man, they nearly went down, that is not ideal. Blood Crusher's hit the field, but he is going to encounter a Grey Knight Dreadnought, which is not really ideal. Grey Knight Dreadnought does have, I think, 20% melee resist with the Flamethrower. But even then, the Blood Crusher doesn't have melee resist, and obviously the Dreadnought has way more HP, so this is not great for the Blood Crusher. Probably could cancel the melee upgrade, it's not really necessary right now. You could just go over and finish off the Gem Bash with the Inferno Cannon. We are going to see some Plasma Guns coming out for the IST. It's going to help them handle these Chaos Space Marines a lot more effectively. Heretics caught in retreat by the Strike Squad and the EA. Do a decent amount of damage, kill all the Heretics bar the Aspiring Champion. Dreadnought is positioning himself to get into retreat path. Is he? He is. Ooh, he gets it! Very nice! Stabby, stabby. Bit of a dodgy sync kill, but dodgy or not, the Aspiring Champion is dead. And now there is no healing support for the Blood Crusher, so Leonus is kind of forced to get another Heretic. I don't really like this Blood Crusher purchase. I don't actually think Blood Crushers are very good against Grey Knights. Grey Knights are a funny one because they've actually got a lot of soft AV. You know, Purgation can go for silencers, they can go for Conversion Beamer. I've actually gone for Psy Cannons here. Oh, I didn't realise in this patch they've changed the Psy Cannons to only have one model. So this is basically, the Psy Cannon is kind of like an auto cannon, but it doesn't have splash. it just does really high single target damage to one enemy, but it also ignores cover like the autocannon, so hiding behind cover, not going to work against it. You just need to get the fuck away. So yeah, as it stands right now, there's not really too much of a counter for this Dreadnought. I mean, we do have a Mac of Tzeentch Havoc, so that is a las cannon, so that could be quite spooky in combination with a little bit of chip from the Blood Crusher. But, okay. These guys are, both the setup teams are setting up in one another's face, and the vehicles just move in to tie them up. So that's not great. Noise Marines have got caught out by the Strike Squad, so they're going to get faced off. They can delay it with a Cacophony, but they can't beat the Strike Squad in melee. So that's not great. IST right now being mismicroed by Q. I don't know if he's realizing they're caught in melee. Okay, he's moving them away. Side Cannon, unfortunately, is shooting heretics. I mean, it doesn't matter what it shoots. If it shoots the Blood Crusher is just going to tie it up and then get healed by the worship and the heretics. So, awful engagement there for Q. But on the other hand, Q is doing much better up here. I mean, the Dreadnought at this point is in the base of Leonus. Leonus can't really do anything about it. He has actually got fully upgraded CSM, so they're going to melt the Strike Squad, as long as the Strike Squad don't get into melee. Those CSM need to be careful though. There is now a Dreadnought approaching their retreat path. Not ideal. Let's have a look at those side cannons. Okay. The heretics are retreating, so we don't get to see them mince the enemy. We're actually seeing some inquisitorial operatives for Q. So they're going to have a melter bomb, at least if you upgrade them with their sergeant in tier 2. That can be used to sort of snare that Blood Crusher and try and finish it off with your silencers and your Dreadnought. The problem with the operatives is they're really, really fragile, and there are Noise Marines and Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines on the field, so I don't know. He's going to have to be really careful about the use of these operatives, or they could bleed him a lot. And one really good Blastmaster hit would also wipe out the operatives instantly, so I would like to see the Blastmaster come out for Leonus. He's going to drop, is this an incendiary or a smoke? Okay, he's dropping the smoke. You can see, look at what that does to the range of the las cannon. Reduces the range massively. Unfortunately, operatives, certainly at level 1, not a match for fully upgraded CSM in ranged combat. Wouldn't be a match for them in melee either. But they've done their job. If they're going to retreat, jeez. They retreat just in time. They did their job, but they lose 4 models for it. They managed to get the smoke of the las cannon, which allowed the Grey Knight Dreadnought to get close without getting shot by the las cannon. The las cannon is going to set up now, and unfortunately that snare from the las cannon is actually going to stop the Grey Knight Dreadnought of Q from being able to finish off that Blood Crusher. Tzeentch Marines need to get out of there. They're in a really precarious position. Might actually consider dropping Touch of Nurgle on the CSM so that they're all not getting killed by the bloody Strike Squad in retreat. This is quite brutal. 2 models already going down, potentially going to lose another one. Blood Crusher's healing under worship. I think the Dreadnought was considering moving to intercept the CSM in retreat, but unfortunately it's getting snared by the las cannon, so it has to get out of there. All 3 CSM died except the aspiring champion. You know, I feel like Leonus hasn't got an upgrade in absolutely forever. I don't know what he's been spending his resources on. I guess just bleed. Just a lot of bleed. I mean, look at all the wreck that he's just had to dump into these CSM. 188 wreck down the drain there. Must admit, I've not really seen the EA do a whole lot, and I guess you wouldn't really expect him to do a whole lot when he's got absolutely no weapon upgrades. He's just been capping the sidelines. I'd like to see him get a bit more involved in the combat. I'd like to see him with his charging armor and his neurotoxin gauntlet. He will rip Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines to pieces. He will rip the Havocs to pieces. You can just charge in from the side, rip them up while you knock them over, and all of a sudden your Dreadnought then is just free to go run rampant. I've not really seen the silencers do a whole lot as well. They're being used very, very conservatively. I'd like them being moved up and at least covering the VP to prevent any decaps. That would be quite good. And I like this use of them as well, so that if the Blood Crusher moves in and tries to deal with the Strike Squad, they are taking a lot of damage from that side cannon. Then you've got to try and force off these heretics so that they can't heal the Blood Crusher. Yeah, you're in a pretty good spot. There's not really anything to take the point at this point. But I didn't realise Q is actually quite behind on VPs. I don't know how he managed to be so behind on VPs. I felt like he had a pretty good position on the map control, to be honest. I feel like he was over here decapping as well all the time, but I guess Leonus must have owned this one and this one for a lot of this game. So Q needs to work on that, but he is. He's got the double cap, he's keeping an eye on the mid with his stormtroopers, he's got his purgation covering it, and his strike squad, now fully upgraded with a whopping 2,150 HP, are going to decap that natural point of Leonus. Leonus still hasn't got back his Plague Champion. I think that's a massive mistake, to be honest. Plague Champion is really, really powerful in this matchup, not just for his globals, but he himself is really, really strong. Mucus Discharge to keep healing up your troops. You've got your... Oh, there we go, Blastmaster shot, instantly giving one of the Purgation. Blastmaster is so good in this matchup. Operatives, however, do actually manage to force them off. Heretic's not really in the best position there to deal with the Operatives. Okay, the Aversa Assassin has got his Neuro Gauntlet, and he's got the Onslaught Injectors. Bit of a cheaper option, I suppose, than getting the Charge Armor, which might not be necessarily needed in this case. But yeah, he's going to be a bit of a scary fighting force on the sidelines. The problem, of course, is on this map, there are a lot of garrisons, so the CSM can get in the garrison. Nice flank here by the Purgation with their side cannon positioned brilliantly, so that that Blood Crusher is took out with a combination of the Melter Bomb, the melee from the Dreadnought, beautiful side cannon flank, and it looks like the Heretics even get wiped out. I love this sync kill with a massive blade, absolutely brutal. So honestly, Leonus in a pretty bad position right now, but the good thing for him is that he is actually tier 3, because Q has took a long time to actually get this gem bash done, and at this point, it's quite pointless, to be honest. Leonus has 200 bang. Another Blastmaster shot. There is a bit of elevation here, as you can see, if we look from the perspective of the Blastmaster. Whenever there's elevation, it's going to mess up your natural targeting and make you overshoot. So he needed to use attack ground a little bit beforehand to prevent that overshooting. But you see, the elevation isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you put your Noise Marines all the way back here, you can actually hit the VP, even though you can see the arc doesn't reach. If you place them here, face the VP, and then ground attack at the end of your arc, you will overshoot and knock the enemy off the VP from pretty extreme range, and that way you can cover this mid VP and your natural from a very defensive, safe position. But the downside is, if you're lazy and you don't attack ground, you're going to miss a lot. Yeah, so you can see... Okay, he's actually using the Bio Meltdown here, which is doing a little bit of damage to the Siege Marines inside the building, but really not that much, to be honest. I don't know if it's going to wipe them. Leonus has stayed in for a very long time. I mean, getting out of there was a very silly decision, I think. Yeah. Yep, now they're gonna wipe. He should have just... He left them in for so long that he should have just kept them in there. Q's happy about his EA's performance there. I mean, wiping out a squad of fully upgraded Siege Marines generally always makes you quite happy. Oh, the Blastmaster shot! Oh my god. Nearly wipes out the Purgation. I really don't know how he didn't even die. But we actually see Lightning Claw Terminators. This is honestly quite a bizarre decision. There is a bug, by the way, where smoke shells do not affect Blastmasters, so you should have used the smoke shells in the last cannon, tied up the Blastmaster in melee. But yeah, the Lightning Claw Terminators are going to have a bit of a tough time here because, well, they can't deal with the Dreadnought. You know, they can kill the Strike Squad, but they just do terrible damage to the Dreadnought because they're only power melee, not heavy melee. So only 15% of their damage actually will affect the Dreadnought. Strike Squad, however, do not want to be fighting Lightning Claw Terminators in melee. That will go horrendously for them. Now we see Chosen Plague Marines as well. What a strange build from Leonus, and it just seems so heretical seeing these guys in pink Slaneshi colours. What the hell? Now Q at some point did actually lose his IST squad, which he had upgraded to an Acolyte, so not only is that a fairly sizable loss, he also has no repair support for his Dreadnought. Now that there's Lightning Claw Terminators on the field, having repair support for his Dreadnought is going to be quite vital, so he does choose to replace them. Let's see how the EA fares against these Chosen Plague Marines. He does have the charging armor at the moment, so starts off the fight pretty well, knocks over the Plague Marines. He's finally used Psychon, a little bit late there, I think. Psycon gives you a damage buff and a damage resistance buff, so it's pretty damn nice to use. And he takes out one of those CPM quite easily, but eventually the damage over time becomes a bit too much, and he needs to get out of there. But he does, I think. Yeah, Terminator's too slow. Wow, the Terminators used their teleport to try and kill the EA, and they didn't even get it. That is not good for them. We actually see Purifiers coming out for Q now. I think Q should just get to tier 3, to be honest. He's got a lot of VPs to work with. He's got basically infinite power at this point. Just go tier 3, get some of your own Terminators out. Grey Knight Terminators are pretty great. Melee superiority. They will actually lose 1v1 to the Chaos Terminators, but you've got a lot of support. You've got the Terminator Librarian, which honestly, I don't even think I've seen in melee yet. Have we seen the Terminator Librarian in combat? You see, he just ate a Blast Master to the face and didn't know he gave a fuck. That is how you know he's a badass. Unfortunately for Leonus, the Terminators just seem to be in the wrong position all the time. Not here able to prevent the decap, not here able to prevent the Terminator Librarian. They are positioning themselves quite well to actually get a retreat kill on the Terminator Librarian, but we do need to be careful of this Dreadnought. And to be honest, Leonus is just running out of VPs. He needs to get over here and capture his VP with anything that he can. He needs to stop messing around with Chosen Plague Marines and capping wreck points and just get on the VPs. Forget the wreck. VPs is the most important thing right now. Purifier is using their Psychic Field, which stops any ability usage, but unfortunately the Terminators just teleported out before that kicked in. Purifiers will actually do some pretty good damage to the Terminators because they are 4 power melee models. With all of them attacking the same Terminator, yeah, they do actually take him out. Now, they don't have the HP to actually beat the Terminators or anything like it, but yeah, they do a decent amount of damage, especially if you combine with stuns like the Emperor's Fist on the Dreadnought. But those Purifiers take a lot of losses, losing their Justicar and 2 other models. However, the Dreadnought remains pretty much unopposed. A good bit of damage could come out here from the Blastmaster. Now, where is the last Cannon Havoc? That is primarily now. Does he get a hit? He does. He gets a little bit of a hit. Not a direct hit. Just a bit of a tickle. Grey Knight Forces are back out again. A bit of a tickle on the rear Strike Squad models, but it looks like the frontal ones can tie up this Blastmaster. Yeah, just not enough. I don't know, I feel like Leonus just has his troops in the wrong position. You know, you need your CPM here doing the protecting. The heretics should not be worshipping. They should be here capping the VP because VPs are paramount. And he probably used a shift Q order to cap that, then cap this wreck, and then cap the VP. But you need to recognise that that was no longer applicable at some point. At some point recently, you needed to focus VPs. I mean, I'm saying it like Leonus has lost, but I think he has. I don't know how he can win this because he just can't seem to deal with the Dreadnought. He has the Blastmaster and he has the Havocs who can do a lot of damage to the Dreadnought, but he doesn't have the manpower. So those range setup teams are just getting charged and tied up in melee. And then if he has all of his units in a blob, he's just going to never be able to cap the VPs. So he's going to lose on VPs. So it's a really tricky one for him here. I think he's fucked, to be honest. Game needed to have been won quite a bit earlier. Honestly, Purgation probably getting wiped here because Lightning Claw Terminators have just jumped on them. Yep, they get wiped. And Operatives, for some reason, are running into melee. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know. But the VPs are still bleeding out for Leonus. He does not have a lot of time. Chosen Plague Marine. Wow, a Chosen Plague Marine actually just died to the Grey Knight Librarian. Honestly, what a badass. Strike Squad are kind of fucking up the Chosen Plague Marines really badly. I don't think this is a very good matchup for Chosen Plague Marines. They're generally better against the higher model light infantry enemies. Not really high HP, low model factions like the Grey Knights. The Aversa Assassin is now in melee, sending these heretics flying. He's swapped out to the axe for some reason, don't really know why. Dropping kills up, which doesn't really achieve a whole lot. Maybe as a melee superiority tool to deal with the Terminators, I guess, but Yeah, the Terminators are just getting bullied by this Dreadnought. This Dreadnought has been the clear MVP for Q this match. Yeah, that is game. That is game. Well, it's a replay for you guys. As I say, I think with these sort of replay requests that I get, I never watch the replays before I cast them, because to be honest, with the way the bloody system works, where you can't just hop around and go back and forward at will, or watch the whole thing, it just takes too long. I recognise that probably wasn't the best sort of cast, but I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless, and in the future, I think I'll set up a Patreon and put these replay requests onto there as a weekly upload just for the patrons. Tell me down below what you guys think of that idea, and hopefully that wasn't too bad for you. It's getting uploaded on a Saturday. Treat it as a bonus cast. I'm sorry. Okay, that is all from your boy T. Signing out.